Welcome back, everybody. I am checking out a new creator. I don't think I've even seen a video by them. Angry Teacher, 50k subs. So yeah, not terribly large. I just watched a bunch of videos covering the fraud that's going on in Minnesota. So right now my feed on YouTube is like completely filled up with these are better recommendeds, but like on my main screen it's all politics. And I saw Scott Jennings calls out double standard accepted by the left, and I was like, hey, I've never seen this person. Let's see what they're about. So let's get into it.
Democrats have a clear double standard when it comes to politics, especially on the topic of redistricting. And what we're seeing today, of course, is Scott Jennings completely humiliating a left-leaning individual and her unperceived bias about this whole situation. But before we begin, don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe on this video so we can break through the algorithms.
I don't think I've ever seen it's kind of like a VTuber, or like an avatar, but that's cool, like the black and white, almost like a pencil drawing. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to. It's like somebody drew all of this with a pencil.
Here we go.
That's cool.
Well, here's Bruce Blakeman, the Republican who's running for New York governor.
Would you consider yourself a MAGA Republican, as President Trump suggests?
Well, I support President Trump, and I'm grateful and blessed to have his endorsement.
But he says you're MAGA all the way. Are you MAGA all the way?
Well, yeah, listen, what's wrong with making America great again?
Okay, well, yeah, of course they cut the clip short, right? But I feel like, especially this last year, the definition of MAGA has changed so much that, like, it's a which version of MAGA are you? It's not even, like, now it's like you can be MAGA, but not support Donald Trump. Because there's that whole faction now or like sub-faction of America First within MAGA, and then MAGA infighting between, people like Marjorie Taylor Greene, which is, that's kind of the America First thing, versus Trump. And then you've got guys like Thomas Massie, who is just anti-idiotic spending, I guess, and pro-transparency. So it's like, it's just weird. Like, there's been a lot of strange pairings and alliances and people who I really didn't anticipate being antagonistic toward each other. It's been a really frickin' wild year.
Let's spend a minute on that race, because Bruce Blakeman now is running for governor.
Trump does motivate low propensity voters. That is the truth about Donald Trump. When he's on the ballot, more people who are Republicans tend to vote. If Bruce can tie into that and generate vote in the suburbs, right? He just had a major victory in Nassau County. It's a 2.5 million person county. I mean, it's one of the most competitive in New York State. It's one of the largest in New York State. He won a purple county by a pretty big landslide. If he could replicate that anywhere, everywhere but New York City, he has a chance.
But I guess this is also kind of a question of, like, the reason that matters even beyond New York is that when you're looking at the map, Republicans are trying to change the maps in Texas and all over.
I really dig that. I don't know why. I can't stop looking at it. I love the shading.
Failed in Indiana. They're not going to move forward with that. They're going to try in Florida. They're trying all over the country. But New York is a big piece of the puzzle. And
oh my God, his rigging is so much better than mine. Mine's so janky.
Does the math work when you have all these folks leaving, and you have an electorate that's different, just not that amenable to Trump, and you have some of the redistricting with really uneven results?
Yeah, the redistricting looks like a bit of a wash. Look, candidates have to run the race that suits them and suits their jurisdiction. I think in the case of Blakeman, it would be very inauthentic for him to get an endorsement from Trump and then say, well, I don't like Trump. I mean, that would seem silly to voters. I mean, you are who you are. The same thing's going to be true for Democrats. They're going to wind up nominating a bunch of very liberal progressives. These people are going to have crazy ideas. It will be inauthentic for them to try to present themselves as moderates, when deep down, that's not what their primary voters want, and it's not who they are.
Wow. Well, he put it on the table. So Democrats kind of feel the same way, though, to be quite honest. I will just say I'm for term limits. So I've always been big on term limits.
Yeah,
I think
that's
it's
a big thing for me.
The average person in Congress is in their 80s. So I'm all about people being able.
Democrats are living with the consequences of that right now.
Yeah, I am pro installing term limits, and I'm pro having a maximum age or at least having to pass like cognitive testing. Like, you know, because my maternal grandfather, I think he was 93 when he passed away, and he was sharp to the end. Like, his brain was there the whole time. And, you know, he had trouble physically. He fell a lot because, you know, he couldn't get out of his chair. His legs were too weak. His arms were too weak. And that's eventually that's what broke, right? Was his body. It was never his mind. So I don't know, like if it's 65, say, and then starting in 65, you have to get a cognitive test like every 2 years. And then if you're over 70, it's every year, something like that. But I also think beyond just, is there, like, because we saw Mitch McConnell, we've seen Nancy Pelosi, we've seen just really old people, and like they're having medical events in the Capitol building, and like Mitch McConnell just staring into space for like 8 seconds or whatever that was, you know, and you think about that and you're like, this dude is drafting and voting on laws that he is never going to be beholden to. That, for me, that's a moral issue, where why is it that we allow people who will never see the result of their actions and see the result of their voting? Why do we allow them to make decisions for the younger generations? I think it's a moral issue. I definitely have an issue with it.
Members dying in their seats.
Literally dying. So yeah, I'm for term limits, so I think turnover is good. I also think it's good to have some shakeups. You know, when we talk about long shot races, obviously New York governor's a long shot race. They say the same thing with Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett, who's running in Texas. You had said they're trying to change the redistricting. They actually are. You know, they did change it, and one would argue that if Republicans can't win in Texas, they cheat. So with Congresswoman Jasmine, let me say it again. If Republicans
okay, he's gonna bring up Georgia. There's no way. I mean, both sides do it, and that's why like gerrymandering is so annoying. I kind of wish that we just did a proportional vote. Like, so if, you know, 55% of the people voted for red and 45% voted for blue, and that state only has like two Congress people, only 2 districts, they each get 1, right? Like, how do we make it more representative of the common person? Yeah, and look at, it goes both ways, right? Alaska has 1 district. It votes as 1, and you know, they were only like 60-something% voted for Trump. So everybody else who didn't support Trump and isn't, you know, we're using this to infer who they would likely vote for, red or blue. So then it's like, 40% of the population doesn't get a representative that they agree with. And the same thing goes in Maine, where I think Maine has 2 congressional seats, and both of them are blue, but like over 40% of Maine voted for Trump. You know, and it gets sticky with the low population, because you can't get a fair breakdown of, like, Wyoming, if they only have 1 congressional vote, or say even if you gave them 2, but if 70% voted for Trump and 30% voted for Kamala, what do? You do a 50-50? Then it's like, do you add another seat so that you can get it closer by doing a 66-33? But then you're just bolstering the comparative power of certain states over other states. Like, it's really difficult. There's no clear-cut answer. But regardless, gerrymandering it's been around. It's gonna continue to be around. Both sides do it. And honestly, if if you're the one in power, you should do it. Like, if you're the party that's in power, you should do it because it benefits your side. And when the other side gets in power, they're going to do it anyway. Yeah. I bet they're going to bring up Georgia, because that was a pretty recent and big example. And then I also know somebody blocked the redistricting of... Shoot, it was a Great Lakes state. It was Indiana, maybe? Maybe it was Indiana. And Trump was like, oh, you're a traitor, or whatever.
They cheat by changing the maps.
So you're saying it was illegal what they did?
No, one would argue.
Oh, look at him. He's wearing a... Is that a Submariner? Nice. He's got good taste.
Is it illegal in Illinois?
Could be too.
Is it illegal in Democrat states?
Could be, yeah.
So you're saying the entire political system is just cheating?
No, that's not what I said. I said if Republicans can't win, they cheat. Not the entire political system, just Republicans.
What is cheating? Okay. What is cheating about?
Well, we can break it all down. When you're changing the redistricting,
no, you're using the word cheat.
When you're
legal process.
Well, when you're
survive the court challenge.
And it also survive the court challenge because it was Trump's folks in the court. He runs the court system as well. That's also called cheating.
That's not. I mean, maybe in this particular, I don't know. But the number of, like, district court judges that have impeded Trump's agenda, no, you can't just say, oh, the courts are in Trump's pocket. Like, that's patently false.
That's cheating, which is why they put the lawsuit up and appealed and keep going and going. But it's fine. Democrats will just continue to do what they're doing.
Dude, he's so annoyed.
You always say that.
I am. Yeah, I actually am.
Well, I mean, Democrats are also doing now the same thing Republicans are doing with these.
Is it cheating?
With Newsom, yes.
Was it cheating in California?
It's fire for fire.
California just did it too.
It's responding.
Was it cheating?
It's responding.
You said
you
it was
could call it cheating
No,
if that's what you want to call it.
No,
I said if Republicans can't win, they cheat. And so what Newsom did is he countered that.
He countered
it. Whatever you want to call it. He countered cheating. No, I said if Republicans can't win, they cheat.
So it's cheating. It's cheating for Republicans, and it's okay for Democrats.
I didn't say it's okay. I said that if Republicans can't win, they cheat.
You talk in circles. Are you dizzy?
No, actually, I'm not. We can keep going.
That's funny.
All right, now just to be clear, I did refer to this Teslin Figaro as being a leftist, but she's a self-proclaimed independent. However, think about what she's saying. Oh, it's the Republicans who cheat, and the Democrats are just responding in kind. Yeah, that's kind of a leftist mentality. So a lot of people like to claim that they're independent, even though we all know exactly what their politics really are, okay? But what's the main thing that Teslin is really upset about? She's upset that Republicans are...
If she didn't, not her, the other one, if she didn't vote straight ballot blue, like in the last 3 election cycles, like including like her local elections in like state and federal, I would eat my hat.
Are using the same system that the Democrats have been using for decades, right? They're gerrymandering, they're redistricting, okay? And at the very beginning of the segment, you have Abby Phillips actually referring to New York, and New York actually tried to gerrymander their districts even harder, but they actually got shut down in their court system. Now, Texas also was taken to task. However, they succeeded in their redistricting, okay? But California, Gavin Newsom, what's he doing? He's going to redistrict and gerrymander even more. And of course, you also have places like Illinois that are hugely gerrymandered in their redistricting process, and they're trying to gerrymander even harder now in response to Texas, etc. Okay, so Scott Jennings is calling this basically a wash, because when you gerrymander more in the red states and they do it more in the blue states, then of course everything just kind of gets even keel across the board, which is actually what we're seeing. But of course the main...
That's fair. That's a fair point. You know, when both sides are doing it and both sides benefit, like there can be a little bit of a pendulum if you look at state to state, and maybe even nationally, but it stays pretty close, right? Actually, I think this is for a different video. I was literally looking at this earlier. So 435. This isn't including like all the territories and stuff, but I compiled like all the states, what their, how many seats they have, how many are red, how many are blue, and then I'm comparing that to the popular vote for 2024, and then just seeing the differential between, you know, let's just call it 65% of the popular vote, but they have 71% of the seats, right? So here's the differential. So negatives are obviously negative, positives are positive, because the opposite. They're benefiting disproportionately if it's negative. But yeah, like, I mean, what did they just say? They used California, right, as an example. So if we go to California, there's only 9 red seats and there's 43 blue seats, right? And in the popular vote, so that's 17% to 83%, we'll call it. So it's actually massively misrepresentative of the population. And I mean, for all of these too, like anything that leans heavily in one direction, you could say that this number could be a lot higher because if people felt like their votes actually counted, then they would be more likely to go out and vote. But a lot of times, you know, and it happens both ways, right? Like in Alabama, that's another example there where it's very right-leaning. It's been right-leaning. So if you're a Democrat and you're living in Alabama, it's easy to just say, well, what's the point? I'm not even going to do it because it's not going to matter. My state's going to go red regardless, right? Now, the congressional seats are a little bit better because then you're in your district and your vote, you know, proportionally is much more important, you know, like, because you might live in a state of 8 million people, but your county might only be 300,000. So proportionally, your vote matters a lot more in those smaller or local elections. But the problem with trying to do a proportional voting system is that, you know, what I mentioned before, Alaska, right? So you have 1 seat, 1 red seat, 0 blue seats, 100% to 0%, but 41% of the state voted for Kamala Harris. So then you go, where's their representation? You know, like this, the House of Representatives, like your congressman, they're supposed to be the most direct connection that you have to the federal government, right? Obviously, you have state senators, you have state representatives, but that's for the state, right? In terms of representation in the federal government, this is supposed to be the most representative or representation, most direct representation that you get. Here's another, here, we don't even have to look at a big blue state. Let's look at a big red state. 28 votes for Florida, or 28 seats, 20 to 8. So that's 71% to 27%, we'll just round, compared to 56 to 43. So that's, you know, that's a 15% margin there in representation for both of them. So you're inflating by 15% the representation of Republicans in Florida just based on a seat to vote, you know, and our turnout was less than 2/3. Our turnout this year was like 64%, or for 2024. And it's because a lot of people don't believe in the system. They don't think that their vote actually matters, you know? And a lot of that has to do with how the Electoral College works. And that's a whole other discussion. But I mean, some of these things are just crazy. And the percentages are nuts for the smaller it is, right? Like Arkansas having 4 seats, 0 blue, but 33%. So you go, well, what if you just took this vote right here and theoretically you took away a seat, so it's 3 seats, you have 2 seats to 1 seat, it would be 66 to 33%, which is drastically more representative for Arkansas. But the pendulum and what he's talking about, or what he mentioned, is that it's actually pretty close. So if you go seats and compare them to the percentage of the popular vote, so Trump got 49.8%, Kamala got 48.3%, that's pretty close. So overall, Republicans have 50.6% of the seats. And again, this is not counting like Puerto Rico, the Mariana Islands, the Virgin Islands. It doesn't include any of those. This is just states. And Kamala, the Democrats have 49.4% of the seats. So actually, they both benefit over the popular vote, at least for 2024, and that's because independents don't have anything, right? So you've got, oh, I think I messed this one up. Yeah, that's the average. That's not the actual number. The real number's like 1.9 or something like that. Oh, right here. Yeah, I did. I didn't fix it over here. I fixed it over here. So you've got 2% of the population that has 0 representation. So those are people who are voting for libertarian, voting for the Green Party, voting for, any independent, and they have zero representation. So that's why it benefits, red and blue to keep that from happening, because if you gave minimums or did something, they would end up with like 17 seats or something overall. And I mean, that's not even talking about if you remove non-citizens and permanent residents who are non-citizens, illegals. You would see California lose 4 seats. You'd see New York lose 2 seats. You'd see, what was the other one? I think Jersey would lose 1 seat. So there's a lot wrong with how we go about voting, depending on your perspective, right? I mean, the system has been working in the sense that it hasn't utterly collapsed, right? And right now, this is a pretty good statistical bunching right there. Here, let me scroll that up. Actually, that's pretty good. That's not bad at all. Where you only have a 0.8% or a 0.7% variance between the percentage of seats that the party holds versus who voted for each candidate. I don't know. Something to think about.
Take away from
and that's on a federal level, right? So that's where you go. Is it better to have more equal representation at a state level or at the federal level? Is there a way to do both? And that's what that spreadsheet. I have like 2 other tabs that I'm looking at to see if there's something there. I don't know.
This entire clip
Nobody's
is
going to watch
Scott
it either
Jennings
way.
completely roasting this Teslin Figaro, all right? Because she's saying that it's the Republicans who are cheating when they redistrict, when they gerrymander. But it's not cheating when the Democrats do it, all right? So it only goes one way, which clearly shows her bias and double standard, okay? And that, of course, is what the Democrats and the leftists and apparently the independents are really mad about. They're mad that Republicans are now playing the same game. And I'm not saying that other red states haven't been gerrymandered in the past, but I'm talking about us trying to actually get the maximum amount of seats out of our red states, as the Democrats have been doing for a very long time. Now, personally, as I've mentioned before, do I like gerrymandering? No, I do not. However, since the Democrats, since the blue states are all playing this game, we have to play it too if we're going to be competitive.
Okay, from his perspective, I agree, but it's both sides doing it all the time. Like, this isn't, I don't think it's fair to go back, only 10 years or 20 years and say, oh, the Democrats started it. I don't think that's necessarily a fair thing to say. I mean, maybe I need to go back and look at the origins and when gerrymandering started, but it's you're responsible for your own actions, and the parties are responsible for their own actions. It doesn't matter if one did it first, both of them are doing it. And like I said before, if you're in power and you have the ability to redistrict in your favor, you should do it, because the other party's going to do it when they're in power. Like, I'm just talking from a logical standpoint. With the mindset of trying to win, that's what you should do. It makes perfect sense to do it when you're in power. You should do it. I wish that it wasn't a thing. I wish that people couldn't do it, or parties couldn't do it. I wish that we had more proportional representation at all levels of government. But if it's there, both sides are going to use it. That's just the end of it. There's no point in playing a he said, she said. It doesn't matter.
Follow the exact same playbook that the Democrats have been using quite effectively. And if we don't, then we are going to lose. But of course, according to Teslin Figaro,
if you don't do it, you're going to lose. So do it.
Republicans, right? When Republicans can't win, they cheat. To me, cheating sounds like importing millions of voters, shipping them all over the country, and then in blue states and sanctuary cities, etc., giving them driver's licenses, which also enrolls them to vote. And then, of course,
you're
giving
killing
them
her.
incentives through Medicare and Medicaid, etc. All of these government services.
She's already
by
dead.
law in order to buy their votes. That sounds like cheating to me. So don't turn around and say that when Republicans can't win, they're going to cheat, when Democrats have been the biggest offenders that I'm aware of in my lifetime. So thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe, and say hi to your mom for me. If you like t-shirts, of course.
It's okay. I'll tell my mom you said hi. Okay, so he let them talk, and then he came in and he was talking, and then he just went fucking scorched earth on her right at the end. That was great. But no, yeah, I mean that's a good point too, where it was just confirmed. Well, actually, it's twice now, and it's really unfortunate, but it does appear that in the 2020 election, Trump won Georgia. Let me say that again. Trump won Georgia. But enough ballots were illegally counted that Biden won. And I believe that is a concrete fact. Also, what he talked about with Minnesota, I believe they one ID holder can vouch for up to, it's either 7 or 8 individuals who don't have to present ID to vote. And then they admitted that when they did the whole driver's licenses for all, they admitted that that would enable people to vote just based off of like having the driver's license. Now, I don't know if in practice that's what happened. Like, we haven't had voter rolls, we haven't looked into all that. And it's the thing that gets me is that, like, economically, I want to root domestically, economically. Sorry, not in I don't know. I don't want to get into all that, but it's like I want to root for both sides because I want both sides to have good ideas and compete and sharpen each other. But Democrats just keep fucking losing, and they keep like them blocking voter rolls and preventing federal agents from going in and examining it. It's just a bad look. If there's nothing to hide, don't hide it, right? That's why you guys signed the Patriot Act, right? That was the justification. Well, if you're not hiding anything, you don't have anything to worry about. So why is it that when voting is called into question and they want to go in and examine what happened, like, for example, in Michigan, in Pennsylvania, in Georgia, why is it that the Democratic mayors or the Democratic governors immediately pearl clutch and block federal agents? It makes me assume guilt, even though there's no, or at least I haven't seen anything that's like hard evidence in those other states. But in Minnesota and in Georgia, it definitely seems like there's been hard evidence. And it just makes, again, it's like the fraud thing. It's, okay, is this just the tip of the iceberg? What's coming next? God only knows. So I'm gonna hit like. I'm gonna subscribe. I thought I wouldn't, and then dude, he just, that last, I'm gonna watch that again later, but that was fucking funny. I really liked that. I realized now that it's a filter, and I don't know if that's like an iPhone thing because I don't have iPhones because I'm poor. But either way, the rigging's better than my model. So, okay, well, that's it for this one. I go check out Angry Teacher. I like it. I'm gonna subscribe. I'm gonna check out some more stuff by him. Yeah, that's it for today, and I'll catch you guys later.